You're listening to A Midlife Less Ordinary, the weekly podcast giving you the lowdown on becoming a cool older dude. The good times are not a faded memory. It's time to start living them again. And here are your hosts, Wayne and Trev.
Hello everyone and welcome back to A Midlife Less Ordinary, and today's title is Artist's Life. Trev, who's always here, I'm Wayne by the way, if you didn't know that already, and Trev's here with his charcoal and he's going
to... about to put my vocal talents on the canvas.
Yes, exactly. It's because today's, as you can probably guess, is all about, we've managed to secure an artist who's based in Leigh-on-Sea in Essex. He's got some great work. We'll give you the links to his work later. He's coming on to just tell us about the art scene, how to support your local artists. Trev, what do you think about art in general and the person we've secured today?
It's funny with art because I really feel like I like a lot of art. I'm a big Banksy fan, big Shepard Fairey fan. I've got a street graffiti kind of stuff, but I'm kind of cut between the two because the abstract stuff, I don't see a lot in it. I'm like, well, what's that? Like, I don't really understand when that guy cut the sheep in half and put him in resin. Like, what was that about? But like real kind of, I feel like I appreciate it without being too into it.
Yeah.
What about you?
Well, yeah, I'm the same as you. I can appreciate it. As we know, art is subjective, and obviously value appears over time, and it depends on how the artist is well known, basically, isn't it? And the historic significance. But I like some of the different art because if you have a portrait of King Henry on the wall, I mean, it's not very original, is it? I mean, I'd like to have the original, obviously, but from the National Portrait Gallery, but it's not very original. So I like something that's a bit out there, not something that'll give me nightmares particularly, but we do know somebody who can do that for us. But
yeah, because I come from like a comic background, I've always been quite visually turned on. You know?
This is about art, Trev, not where you're going with this.
I know. But yes, I've always been quite like visually into stuff. So, but I think as well, being a bit of a layman to the art world, it's like one of those. Sometimes it feels like one of those closed circuit things where you feel like you're not cool enough to go to an art gallery, or you're not. Does that make sense? You'd feel like
yeah, exactly. It should be more accessible, and this is what we're hoping to get out of today's episode, isn't it?
Hopefully, talking to Andy, we'll get that out that it can be a lot more accessible and it's not exclusive, you know.
It's not for just people in central London who just want to, visit the top class.
Exactly.
Not in here
there
or
is
somewhere.
Art for everyday people.
And
I'm hoping that.
And we've been to a few exhibitions for people we know, and I've really enjoyed it, to be fair. So today's artist that we've managed to secure is Andy Downs. He's got a website, andydownsart.co.uk. He's on Instagram. Type in his name. We'll put some links in on the website, obviously. Check out his work. It's great. I
really like it. I'm a big fan of him.
Exactly, which is why we tried to secure him today. So, what do you know about Andy, Trev?
Again, he's a really great local artist. He does some really different stuff. It's quite up to the minute without it being so kind of up to the minute you don't understand it. Again, it's a real nice mix of contemporary and for every man.
Got great use of colours. A portrait artist. Yeah.
Contemporary and every man. I like to
you are professional.
I come across like I know what I'm talking about.
Exactly.
You think so?
Yeah, you've been.
Oh, you agree?
You've been watching Lovejoy again or something, haven't you? Like trying to pick up on stuff.
Oh man, don't make me think of Lovejoy. All I can think is the Vic Reeves when Bob Mortimer was Lovejoy.
I knew you'd have a reference somewhere to it.
Yeah, I know. It's one of the funniest things I've ever seen. Anyway,
so with no further ado, we'll introduce Andy. He's here to just talk about his life as an artist and hopefully encourage some of you to support your local art scene and everything. So here we go. Thanks for joining us today, Andy. And I'd just like to ask you as a first question, basically, how did you start in the art world? Was it something you learnt at school, or was you an artist, straight out the door kind of thing? How did you start, basically?
Hi, thanks for having me. The reason I was a good artist at school. My dad was a good artist, but he never took it anywhere. And I was at school and thinking, right, this is my thing in life. I'm going to be a a fantastic global artist. And then because I had great respect for my mum and dad, they sort of put me off a bit. They were going down the road of you never make any money out of it, things like that. So I joined the army, basically.
Wow.
So, so my life took a different track to what I totally expected.
Yeah, that's one end of the spectrum to the other, isn't it? It's like, hold on, like that is. I mean, that's interesting, Andy.
I'm a Colchester boy anyway, so obviously I'm surrounded by the forces, but I just needed to get out of there, and I couldn't see a way to leave. And the army seemed a sensible thing to do because, a young lad is bumming around. It gives you a bit of stability in life, a bit of structure, and mainly it got me out of Colchester, which is what I wanted.
Yeah. Andy, did you still do any art when you were in the army? Did you still, or did you not get time?
All my life I've sort of doodled, but never really gone into major pictures. So I think I've spent the last 30 years sort of doing cartoons, really, or 20 years doing cartoons, just quick doodles, a sketch of somebody, things like that, but never got heavily into oil paints or anything like that. I've always had an interest. I'm a very visual person. I'll get my head into a book, and in about 10 minutes into the book, I'll fall asleep. But if it's
like us all, mate. Like us all. Wayne can't even read. So don't worry about
thanks
it.
for this, Trent.
Yeah. Wayne can't even read.
I'm on the Jack and John books or whatever they're called. This one. but
I can certainly look through like a comic or something like that. I can spend hours rifling the pages of those. But say letters, I'll just get sort of word blind after a while.
Was you sorry, Andy, I'm going back to that because obviously I've never done my research properly because I try and make it, very research show, but we didn't know you was in the army, obviously. Was you based at Colchester Barracks, was you?
It's a top secret, actually.
Oh, sorry, we won't. Obviously, it's only the listeners. Yeah, we will all keep it quiet. Yes,
the art is just a cover.
Yeah,
it's like a deep art.
This is like CIA stuff.
I uncovered it live on. You heard it first on AMLO.
We'll say no more. It's top secret, as they say.
No, it was quite. I was at 17 Port Maritime in Marchwood. I was basically a docker, a stevedore. I unloaded the boats like the Galahad and the Tristan. The ones in the Falklands that got the hell blown out of them. In the harbour. I worked on them. Not at that time though, because I'm not old enough for that.
Was you like an engineer then, Andy? Yeah.
No, I was a stevedore. So in civilian role, I'd be at Felixstowe or Portsmouth unloading and loading ships and things like that. So.
Wow, no, sorry, I've diversified there totally. So yeah.
Strange enough, Wayne, now you've said that, you've actually virtually answered one of my questions, because I was going to ask that if he went to sort of art school. But obviously you're in the army then, so you didn't. Or did you? Did you follow it up after the army, Andy, or was that?
No, I came out of the army, went into the motor trade, worked my way in the motor trade for about 15 years, from car valeter up to dealer principal. So I was managing car dealerships, basically like Honda and Mitsubishi and things like that. And then retrained as a plumber when I had my daughter, because I was spending far too much time at work. So I thought, the way that I can move forward is to be my own boss. Retrained as a plumber, fitted bathrooms for the last 12 years. And then about 5-6 years ago, ended my marriage, and instead of going on hard drugs and drinking the life out of myself, I turned back to art.
Take note, Wayne.
It sounds great, yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to say, I want to be Andy by the sound of it. It's just like, yeah.
It's always been my passion. But
I was going to say, what's your inspiration for it, Andy? What do you look at stuff and think that would make a really good piece of art, or that would make a really good painting, or that subject would be, where do you take it, or does it just come to you? Do you just sit on the toilet and think, I'm going to do that? You can see the way I think, Andy, can't you?
when I was a kid, I was a victim of watching far too much TV, I think. So
We like to hear this, do we?
Yeah,
Wyatt?
listen to this week's episode. Yeah, you'll like that.
yeah, I was going to say I'm very visual. I must have spent so many hours in front of the TV, all the Back to the Futures, Indiana Jones, all the Alien trilogy, things like that.
Superb.
I've always been interested in model making, sort of airbrushing, sci-fi, anything that expands the mind, really, without drugs, to be honest with you.
Right, yeah.
And I just enjoy that creativity so much. I'm sort of infected by it.
You saying about that, Andy? You've actually opened up a question that I'd never thought of before. But you saying about drugs and artists. I'm not obviously you've said you've stayed away from that scene, but people that do take certain mind-altering substances, yeah, do they produce a different kind of art, or can it be is it always abstract or something, or is it just inspiration?
I think it depends on your creativity, really. I mean, I know artists in all sorts of genres, and they partake in recreational substances, should we say, and they're all producing, from portraits to bonkers DMT abstracts. It just depends on the person, their creative vision, really. Artists, I always say this about artists, is what they're putting down really is their voice, their vision, and their view of the world. Because all our brains work in different ways. Some people look for football, some people look for girls, some people look for both.
You just summed Wayne up just in 2 sentences there, Andy. You just summed him up.
I just think it's a case of what you put into paper really is what you want to show the world is sort of going on inside to a certain degree.
Yeah, expression. Is it? What would you describe your art, Andy? How would you describe it?
Loud and colourful, and usually with some kind of fun element to it. Either it's actually written in there, or it's got colour that sort of can make you smile. If that makes sense at all. I'm not very good at describing my work, if I'm honest with you.
Could you do my CV for me, Andy? Because that sounds like it could open a few doors for me, the way you describe that.
Well, I'm working on my own, so maybe one day. If I can nail my own, then
exactly. Then you've got a market there, mate. You have got a market there.
Yeah.
Is it mostly about a time, Andy? Like it's finding the time to pay. Like you said, you're having a family and working. Does that mean that art goes on the back burner, basically?
Oh, totally. Yeah, I was in a family with multiple children and dogs and a mortgage and all that, and then after we separated and went our own merry way, the responsibilities lessened to a certain degree. It's just the little times things. Come on, take me to Asda's and all this sort of stuff. It just ruins 2 hours of your evening. Whereas,
life just gets in the way, doesn't it, Andy? To be honest.
Yeah, and I know it does sound selfish to a degree. However,
not at all.
Some of the most successful artists, they spend most of their time on their own because you need those hours to come up with the ideas and then put them to paper, or to canvas or whatever you want to do.
Yeah,
but
you've got to have time for your own dream, Andy, haven't you? That's the thing. And as you say, it sounds selfish. I don't think it is at all. I just think if you only get one life, so you've got to feel like you've got to follow that. And if you don't get it out, it could be wasted. You really do.
That's a big part of my mantra, really, because as I said, harking back to my father, who I lost back in November, he
I'm sorry.
fantastic. That's all right, don't worry. He's a fantastic artist, and then he never took it anywhere. And he'd sit down with me when I was a kid and say, "There," and he'd draw a bird or whatever. He's really into nature, and I'd be amazed how quickly he could get something down. And then he didn't go anywhere with it. And then when he retired, he was just on the brink of getting Alzheimer's. So he didn't even use his downtime after his retirement to sort of pick up where he left off, really. And I think part of my driving force since I left my ex is to catch up on my lost years, really, and getting stuff down and getting ideas down and just trying to
inspirational, Andy. It really is. Yeah, that is inspirational because that's what people need to do. That you really do,
And you've also kind of summed up that there is obviously an element of nature, hereditariness in art, because obviously your father could express himself through art, and you follow through. And I think that's the same with other people we know. They've got other family members who are good at art, where Trevor and myself can't even draw a stick man right. And we haven't
not that bad, actually, Wayne. You speak for yourself. I'm not that bad, to be honest.
Well, I suppose somebody might like your stick man. I don't know, but it's subjective. But
see, yeah, everyone's a critic, aren't they, Andy? See, everyone's a critic. They really are.
But
we all are. Yeah.
But do you think people can learn to be a good artist, or do you have to have that kind of just inspiration from within, literally?
I think if any of you have met a plasterer and watched a plasterer at work, you've got to remember that a plasterer never used to know how to plaster until he served quite a few hours making mistakes until he actually got it right.
Yes.
And I think that carries over with absolutely anything you do in life. I think if you're trying to I watched one of the comedians, I think it might have been Joe Rogan, interviewing somebody on his podcast, and they're right in what they said, and they sort of pen it that you have to do 10 years in a circuit before you start to reap the rewards of it.
Wow.
We've got a long way to go.
and I've kind of got that in my head about that's where I'm going with my work.
Yeah.
Really, I've given myself a 10-year period of learning, and then hopefully by that point, I'll have people have sort of recognise my name, and I'll be in different areas and things like that, and then it will start to people will start to look for me rather than me reaching out to people and going, "Hello, I'm over here, like my art."
Yeah. Andy, do you ever look at some of your pieces, and when you've done them, you're so happy with it, that is great, I really have excelled, and then you sell it or whatever you do with it, and then look back at it in 2 years' time and go, what was I thinking? What did I do there? Or is it, do you find you're happy with all of it for most of the time?
Well, can I really answer that honestly? Because I might not sell any more art from here on if people see my work.
Sorry, I didn't think of it like that. You don't want to be saying, "Well, I wasn't keen on that," and somebody's bought. Yeah, sorry, mate, I put you on the spot.
No, I think you're talking more from a personal perspective, Trevor. Because it's subjective, isn't it?
Yeah, of course it is. Yeah, that's what I meant. To be honest,
I'll dig you out of trouble, even though you're horrible
thanks,
to me.
mate. Yeah, that's it.
Come on.
Yeah, did that. Yeah, thanks, mate. Yeah.
I'll tell you what I find is I when I start any piece, I kind of put a few hours into it, and then I take some photographs of it, and then I walk away from it. And then what I do is I look at the photographs of it, and then I'll look at either the donor subject or the photos I've taken of the figure that I'm painting, and then my brain will start to tell me what's wrong with it. And then the second fitting, I'll go back to a canvas, and then the canvas, I'll know immediately what I need to change. Immediately.
Oh, right. So that's your kind of work process, is it? That's brilliant.
Oh,
yeah.
Totally. When I'll be on my knees changing a tap or something, and I'm just waiting to see if there's any leaks, and I'll pull out my phone and I have a look at the painting, and I'll start to make mental notes about, God, his eyes in the wrong place, or legs are too long, or whatever. But it's a constant thing with me. When I start a painting, it's always with me until I think it's resolved. And
it's part of you, isn't it, Andy? Do you feel like it's part of you, kind of thing?
Oh, of course it is. Yeah. It's part of my creative vision. I'm never happy with any of my work, if I'm honest with you, because as you get older and you get more skilled and more competent, then obviously you change. And then, where people like your pieces, because you're so involved in the piece of art, you don't really see it for what it is. It's like, how can I put it? If you're tiling, you tile a whole bathroom, the customer comes in and says, "Oh, it's fabulous," and then you think, "Well, actually, that one's slightly out, and that cut could have been better," and all that sort of thing.
It's self-critical. Self-critical. That's the thing, which is a good thing, I think, isn't it? because you're always
Yeah,
striving
yeah.
to become better. Yeah, that is, is great.
There's other things like that as well. I was thinking as you were saying that, like in regard to the workflow, that sometimes when you're doing so, I mean, it might be as basic as a computer game or a jigsaw puzzle or something, and you're doing it. I'm talking from a layman's term here, but you can't see the wood through the. Yeah, here we go. Thanks, Trev. Sometimes you can't see the wood from the tree, so you have to go away from it, and then you come back the next day, and then you see what you was missing straight away. Is that the same with your art? You kind of, sometimes it's best to get away and come back to it.
Oh, 100%. 100%. I mean, I've painted images and thought, yeah, that's really good. Gone to sleep, next morning got up and thought, God, the eye is an inch higher than the other eye.
It looks like me in real life.
Well, most people's eyes are slightly higher than one's slightly higher than the other.
Shame you can't change that, Wayne. You should get that done. Perhaps Andy can fix you.
I'll
paint it in for you.
Thanks, Andy.
Yeah, that'd be good. I won't be so embarrassed to go out with him if we ever go out.
Oh, here we go. The truth's out now. This is supposed to be about art, not character assassination.
Sorry.
Or physical assassination. Sorry. But
it's all right. On that note, you do get so invested sometimes, you cannot see the wood for the trees for sure. Well, I can't anyway.
No, yeah, it's nice to know in a way that, because that's something I think we all experience, and obviously something that you're passionate about, rather than just something you spend some time. Sometimes I think we feel like we should just be able to look at it and go, that's what's wrong, but we all need to walk away sometimes, come back, and I think we can put that with a lot to do with our lives. We can all go. I'm being too philosophical now. Trevor's going to say something in a minute.
Check
out Sigmund Freud. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, he's like Trippy Tarker from Monkeys. Like, pearls of wisdom. What the hell?
I'm being inspired by an artist, Trevor. That's
exactly. Yeah, Andy, you're doing it good, mate. He's completely like.
I'm too used to speaking to Trev. You see,
maybe that's my thing. I should bottle that and try and sell it. I'll make the name for that.
Yeah. So, sorry.
Go on, Wayne.
No, I was just going to say. So, where you're based, obviously in Essex, Andy, is the scene kind of vibrant? The art scene.
Oh, it's massive. It's like everything else in the last sort of 10 years, there's been an explosion of musical TV programs and art TV programs, and that's just because there's just so many more people doing it now. I mean, Instagram's full of amazing and challenging artists, and Facebook and wherever you see it just seems to have opened up a plethora or an abundance of creative talent, and Leon C and Southend. It's an amazing hub. I mean, I know back in the days, it was a hub for, I think it was VW lovers, wasn't it? Originally, there was lots of the big VW scene in the area.
We still own a couple of VWs, so yeah, there's still a big scene for that.
And then that, along with that, the music scene and then the art scene sort of came hand in hand with it, and it sort of still carried through here. But my Facebook's full of, I must have about 300 people on my Facebook, which are all artists.
Wow.
And then,
that's really cool, isn't it? To know it's really
local.
blossoming like that. That is great. It does. It makes you quite proud of this area, to be like, to hear that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does,
really
especially when it's always getting slagged off for, nightclubs and stuff. Yeah,
exactly. That's nice. To be honest, talking to the local scene, Andy, I'm a massive fan of you because I follow you on social media, and I know another artist that is Dave Nevard of Nevart, and I follow him as well, and I think he's great as well. And what I like about the local scene, especially you two guys, is you're both very passionate about it, and you're both so different. And I believe you get on quite well anyway, don't you, Dave and yourself?
No, he's a fascinating character. I love him.
Yeah, we really want to bring Dave on, and hopefully we will. We can work that out. But it does seem in the local, as you say, it's a really good atmosphere for artists around here. And what I like about it is none of you guys seem the same. It's very diverse around here. There's no kind of following one thing. Do you think, is that true, do you think? Or is it just me being uneducated and not seeing it?
I think it's an outside looking in thing, because I think with every I can say cult then, not cult, but with every
Scene kind of thing, every scene.
Yeah, every scene, you kind of get overlapping circles, if you know what I mean. It's you know, the Lee Art Trail, for instance, has got its own sort of groups within groups, although we're all on the art trail, you know, and there's certain artists which are in bed with, not literally in bed, but in bed with other artists, and then they sort of do a similar type of work. And you know, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I think it's fantastic. And so the thing about the Southend district area is the sheer volume of different artists that we've got here, you know. And that carries over from everything to sculpture, photography. It is just so packed with different people dying to be heard. You know? And that is the worst thing about being an artist is trying to get yourself known out of area.
Yeah, I can imagine. So I know with the Lee Art Trail, because I believe I went and saw some of your art. You had it like a little mini exhibition in like a tattoo studio, didn't you?
Yeah, tattoo studio and coffee shop on the Lee Road.
Right. Okay. Because I think that's a good thing when you guys are crossing over with like the tattoo culture as well, because that gets you noticed, doesn't it?
Oh, big time! You know, that's an art form in itself. You know,
it is. Yes, yeah. Because obviously, I've got a few tattoos. I know quite a couple of the local artists, tattoo wise, and I think again, that's another form of expression. I think you can all you guys can get together and really get something out of it. I think that's a great thing. I really do.
I think all the arts are crossover anyway. I mean, when the studio I have, is you've possibly been to an opening or not, I always have a local musician play on the day where we have an open day, because I just think it goes hand in hand, art music. Definitely. You know, it creates an atmosphere.
I've been with Trev to a few, and Dave, Nevs, and they've been quite enjoyable actually. Trev, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, they are. They were good nights, to be honest. Yeah, Andy, could you want to tell us where your kind of art can be seen then in Southend and in Essex
and online?
And online,
Yeah. Well, I run a little studio called the Little Known Studio, which is on the Lee Road in Leigh-on-Sea. You have to sort of hunt for it to find it, which I kind of like, to be honest with you. But it's on the main Lee Road anyway. And then usual places really, Facebook, and anything to do. If you hashtag Andy Downs Art, you can find me on Facebook or Instagram, or the Little Known Studio's got its own Instagram page as well. Which I'd love to see more people on, so we can promote the art scene in the area. Yeah,
because obviously we'll leave all the links on here, so you can see you and Dave. Because we really want to be getting you, because you know you guys are so talented. We want to get you out there and get people seeing your art, because that's what it's about. Yes, you know, it's brilliant. That'd be great.
Yes, yeah, definitely.
There's no money changing hands, Andy. Sorry.
Well, that's the thing with social media. It's so hard to get your work out there now, because it restricts the amount of people that see your story feed anyway. You know, if you've got 350 friends, it'll only show about 40 of them on Facebook. Instagram, 9 times out of 10, they'll shadow ban you for using the wrong hashtag, so then you'll end up coming across as spam. So you go nowhere with that. And then, you know, you might have 1,500 followers, and then you'll get like 20 likes or 30 likes on something.
Yeah.
It's such a frustration, because you know, I watch TV and then you'll see a drone flying over Mexico City, and then I think, hang on, I don't know, I haven't got any followers from Mexico. How do I get that reach?
How do you get there? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I can see.
Well, I'll tell you how you can get that reach, Andy, because you're not anybody until you've played our weekly quiz, which is called Test the Guess. Are you happy to have a go at that? Yeah.
Oh, of course, yeah, let's have a go at it.
Brilliant. Well, here's our little jingle for it.
Test the guest. We're gonna test the guest. We're gonna test the guest. We're gonna test the guest.
Test the guest. I hope that didn't frighten you off, Andy.
Andy, you won't believe how much money we had to spend to do that jingle.
Oh, yeah.
It was shocking. Honestly, I've had to remortgage my house to get that jingle done.
Yeah, it's £1.50 actually, but it's subjective. Okay, so it's not, this isn't serious, Andy, because these subjects are so, we're just, they're very vast. They're more to have fun and make fun of Trevor, really, more than anything else.
Great stuff.
So the first question to you, Andy, if you don't mind.
Go on.
Name the artist famed for painting the Sistine Chapel ceiling. Do you want the options?
Yeah, go on.
It can be Leonardo, it can be Raphael, it could be Donatello, or it could be Michelangelo.
I'm going to go with Michelangelo.
I just love it because it's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
I was expecting another one. I was expecting Fred Dibner to come up.
He's about trains, isn't he? Yeah.
I don't know what he's about.
Well done, Andy. You did.
Well done, Andy.
Yeah. So next one for you, Trev. Let's hope you get this
Well,
wrong.
here we go. She's really hard.
No, it isn't. It isn't. No, it isn't.
14th century impressionist.
No, I'm not like that.
go
That's
on.
you. My bed, not literally my bed was exhibited at the Tate Gallery in 1999 and consisted of a bed with bedroom objects in an abject state. Who was the artist? Do you want the options?
Yes, please.
Was it Bob Carrollgees, Tony Hart, Richard Constable, or Tracy Emin?
Tracy Emin. It's got to be surely.
It's Bob Carrollgees.
Yeah, I wanted it to be Bob Carrollgees. I wanted to...
It would have been shocking if I wasn't familiar, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
With those people. I've been Bob Carrollgees. It would have been like a real horrible silence. Like, oh my God.
No, I would have gone...
Carrollgees.
It would have done like that. So, next question to you, Andy. The Tate is a network of 4 art museums. 2 are based in London. Give the other 2 English locations. Is it Bristol and Gloucester, Manchester and Leeds, Lincoln and Birmingham, or Liverpool and St Ives in Cornwall?
Liverpool, St Ives.
Oh, this man knows his stuff.
Wayne,
Yes?
Bristol and Gloucester, is that like a make of pickle? Or did you just...
No, they're real places, Trevor. I know you've never left Southend
I know
ever
they're
in
real-
your whole
I know-
life, but
I know
they
they're
really
real
exist.
places. I just thought you might have put them together and they sounded like you got them off of a pickle jar or something. Obviously not.
You thought it was a building society or something, didn't you? Yeah.
Yeah. I was going to say that insurance company. Yeah.
Yeah, Andy's got his money. All the money from his paintings are in the Bristol and Gloucester. That's what it is. Earning interest.
That would be a good name for one. Yeah,
It would be, wouldn't
Bristol
it?
and
Yeah.
Gloucester.
Or pub. No,
You just like the word Bristol, really, but it's that's
unfortunately, I've
yeah.
always been a big fan of Bristol.
Yeah,
I
there we
really
go.
have.
There it goes. The money
Bristol's,
shot's right
the,
there.
The Bristols, yeah.
Right. So, next one to you, Trev. We're not going to forget it's your turn. What's the well-known name for a painting on a freshly plastered wall? Is it Lesco? Is it Tesco? Is it Fresco? Or is it calcium sulfate rendering?
Can I have the options again, please?
What's the well-known name for painting on a freshly plastered wall? Is it Lesco? Is it Tesco? Is it Fresco? Or is it calcium sulfate rendering?
Let's go.
Oh God, I don't know if you're doing it for comedy effect or not. I don't know. But, Andy, can you do this? Can you answer this one, please?
I think it's Fresco, isn't it?
I thought that was coffee or something.
I can't believe the ones I made up have actually caught you out. I can't, the calcium sulfate rendering is more of a tiling kind of.
That's a good
thing.
one.
Yeah, that's good. I like that. That's a
thought
work thing.
Fresco was more of a kind of coffee flavour.
That's what? That's Kenko. What are you on about?
I don't drink coffee.
Oh dear. Well done, Andy.
Thanks, you cemented
Thank
me
you very
as to
much.
be as thick as I actually am. That's the problem.
And I don't think you'll have any problem. This is the last question. It's to you, Andy. This is the last one. You'll be glad to hear. Which painting was stolen from the National Gallery in Oslo in 1994 and held to ransom for $1 million? And who was the artist? Oh, no, don't say it. You don't need to know who the artist was. Sorry, that's was it The Scream? Was it Mona Lisa? Was it Girl with a Pearl Earring? No, not that, Trev. And was it
Sorry.
The Creation of Adam?
Oh God, I don't really know this one, but I'd go for the screen.
I think that's what's known in the business as a full house.
Full house.
Well done,
Full
Andy.
house. Well done, Andy.
Well done. Good show.
Taking about.
Very,
Yeah,
very much. I've
take it.
actually got one more question for Andy,
Yeah, go on.
and this isn't.
Okay.
This isn't a real question. It's more of an opinion. Morph or Chaz? Which one were you a bigger fan of?
What, as in Chaz out of Morph?
Yes.
Yes, he knows. Yeah, cool.
Morph.
Good.
Yes.
Yeah. See.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Chaz was a git.
There's a clap for that. Yeah, that's another one.
Yeah. Chaz was a git, wasn't he? You don't. Yeah. Exactly. I was a
Oh, he's
bigger
horrible.
Morph fan.
He's
Exactly.
horrible.
Yeah.
I like Morph. Morph was
As soon as we were
calm.
talking
Yeah,
about
Morph.
I had to get that off my. I'm glad you went that way. Well done, mate. Lovely.
And Andy, just to summarise on, coming off of that high from the quiz. There's just to summarise. I know you're not going to come down anytime soon. Don't worry about that. Where would you suggest? I know somebody myself actually who's asked me to ask somebody who's already exhibiting and everything. I know a local artist who's very talented. And he's not very good with social media or anything. He said, where do I start with kind of sort of getting my art out there? What would you say to him, Andy?
I would say attend every art show you can and just try and network as much as possible.
Brilliant.
That's
Good
it. I mean,
advice.
if you're not on social media, then put the legwork in and just old school. Try and talk to people. That's all you can do.
So, but if it's worth, if say somebody volunteered to do it for him, Andy, you'd still say that having an Instagram account or something is definitely something you should look into.
Do you know what? My best advice from anybody is to remember the fact that people deal with people, and you could be the best artist in the world, but if you're a bit of an arse, people possibly or probably more likely won't buy your art.
Yeah.
But a lot of people
Yeah.
buy into the artist themselves rather than just the art piece.
That
Yeah.
makes sense. That makes
Brilliant.
a lot of sense.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
basically, this podcast won't really go anywhere because Wayne's such an arse.
I'm never going to be the Joe Rogan of yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's brilliant advice, Andy. That's very true. I think you do tend to favour people that are decent folk as good,
Yeah.
Because
Because you garner the support in the first place, don't you, to get you somewhere, and because these people
definitely.
like you. Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
Brilliant.
just on that, I mean, art can be so sedentary. You know, you get a lot of galleries which are just white wall galleries and a piece of art standing there. But if you and you go, oh yeah, that's nice, and you move on. But if you've got the artist sitting there and he'll talk about his piece of art, suddenly you're buying into that person rather than just
Yeah.
the image on the wall.
Yeah.
And then when you come away from it, you can tell your friends, oh, I spoke to the artist. He's really nice. He's from here. He did this and da-da-da-da. And you get all this background knowledge that you wouldn't get normally. And that is key because, as I say, we all buy from people at the end of the day.
You're spot on there, Andy, because as I say, it's the same with the podcast. And if people, I mean, all jokes to one side, is, when people comment on it, they often say, it's because I like the people that are presenting it, not necessarily me. That's obviously true. But
I'm going to say, why
yeah, okay.
how comes we've got more than 2 listeners then? Because people we're not that popular.
No, well, it's subjective, Trevor. It's
In
like the
real
art. Yeah, but no, that's brilliant advice. Andy, we're going to put all your links on the thing because your work is. I've had a look myself, and it's very impressive.
People have got to see
thank
people
you.
like Dave and people like Andy. They really have.
Yeah,
Get out there, support your local
Brilliant.
artists. Support
they are.
Andy.
They're like little secrets that need to be pushed out and get out there. Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, lovely. Thanks for
Admire
joining
Andy,
us today,
admire.
Andy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you. I
brilliant.
really
Thanks very much,
appreciate it.
Andy.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, cheers. See ya.
Well, after listening to Andy, I feel like I could splash the ceiling, Trev. What do you think?
Yeah.
Well, oh no, I know where your mind's going.
I'm not any. Well, I've actually been on Amazon and bought myself a little paint set. So
It's
I don't
inspired
think
you, yeah?
I'm talented enough. I was looking for talent on Amazon and I couldn't find it.
Well,
So
what-
I'm just going to go with,
Well, when last time I told somebody I was going to go and do some painting, they started whistling the theme tune from Brushstrokes. I was like, yeah, thanks for that. Cheers.
You and your 80s CV, man.
Oh, sorry,
Anyway,
we finished that episode.
But we've just had a very, very in-depth conversation with a very talented guy, and you're talking about 80s CV again.
Wrong episode. Sorry, people.
Yeah, what Andy came across very well. Really sounded like he really supports the local scene.
It's a calling, isn't it, as well? You could tell it's a calling, isn't it?
What I got from Andy, which I really liked, is he comes across as though there's no snobbery in it for him.
No.
I think that's what is brilliant about the local scene. That you could walk into his gallery and you wouldn't get some like guy in a beret looking at you like, what are
Frank
you doing
Spencer.
in here?
Yeah.
yeah. Or he wouldn't be like, oh, Betty, look at my paper. But no, the good thing is he'd be really inviting. He'd be really interested in showing you, what's going on. And
Exactly.
I think that's what art needs, because I think it's for your normal people. I think it's quite misunderstood. It's only, and I keep going back to that because that's how I feel about it. Would you feel comfortable not walking in Andy if you hadn't spoke to Andy?
No, I know what you're saying. We've been before, like we said, and it's only because we knew some of the people that were exhibiting, and I felt comfortable because you were going. But after listening to Andy, I think it's very accessible. I would encourage people to check out your local art scene. And if there's an exhibition, go along. There's usually a drink to go, and it's very social. Walk around, because I might have said it before, but people are buying art and prints from their local sort of shed, like the DIY store or something. Go and buy an original piece of art. It isn't that expensive.
Exactly. Okay, honey, let's go down the range and pick a couple.
A photo of the guys on the Brooklyn Bridge or wherever it is, hanging off with their lunchbox.
You could easily go and get an original piece.
An original piece of art. It makes you feel special.
Honest,
yeah.
Yeah, and to be honest, these guys need that support as well, don't they?
Yeah, exactly.
That's
Keep your local economy going.
If you walk in someone's house, they go, oh, that's a nice paint. Actually, it's an original.
Yeah, it's a talking piece.
I got that from the artist. That's really
not like
cool.
Harry
I
Potter.
really like
Yeah.
Sorry?
No, sorry, man. I've said it's a talking piece, isn't it? And then I thought, some people might think I mean like the talking paintings in Harry Potter, but maybe that was just a bit.
Yeah.
So
That'd freak me out. When the painting started.
And Dawn French was like hanging out of it, like just sort of speaking to Vicar of Dibley's like hanging out. Don't even go there. Yeah, but yeah, I didn't. We'll leave all the links to Andy's art on the website for Instagram, but we would encourage you, and I say this is Trevor and myself, and you know how uncultured we are, but we enjoy the art scene, and I would really encourage you to go and check out your local art scene, support them. These guys put a lot of hard work into it, and it really gives your areas a cultural aspect to the local vicinity.
What you want. It's really what you want.
So, thanks, Andy, for that. Thanks for joining us today.
So thank you, Andy. It's been really good.
And thank you to you guys for listening. As always, the website's www.amlopodcast.com. Please leave us a review, leave us some abuse.
And to be honest, before we go very, very quickly, if you are an aspiring artist, send us some of your stuff in.
Yeah, we'll try and get you noticed.
So we can put it on the site and have a look and show people it.
Yeah, good idea, Trev. Yeah,
that'd be cool. Yeah,
definitely.
Very good.
Now, thanks everyone for listening as always, and we'll see you on the next one.
Cheers,
Trev.
See you, man.